Are you tired of the same old music playlist for your road trips? You need to get yourself lost in some good fantasy audiobook experiences. I've got some captivating examples for you today, recommendations I'm making perfect for your next epically long drive, or short ones too. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things we enjoy. I'm the father of this channel, Jim, and it's just me coming at you today with this episode that I think you're going to enjoy, and hopefully we'll get some ideas for your audiobook listening on those long road trips. If you enjoy this, be sure to give us a thumbs up. We love those likes, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. Thanks. Okay, I do a lot of driving for work, so I'm speaking from personal experience here. I work from home about a third of the time, but a few times a month I go into the office, which is a 90-minute round trip. But that's the easy drive in my working experience because I do a lot of other travel. I just got back from a 9-hour drive this past Saturday, as I was working out in Kalispell, Montana, and needed to get home. Ever been to Kalispell? Gorgeous country area. If you have never been there, check it out. The vistas are amazing. And it was a beautiful drive. But whether you're driving 60 minutes or 600 minutes, having an excellent audiobook playing is it's practically a must. It takes a long drive and turns it into something that just flies on by. As you plow through the miles, you find yourself transported into other worlds, amazing adventures, gripping battles, magical mysteries. Great audiobooks literally can make the ride feel much shorter, can reduce your drowsiness because it keeps your brain engaged, and can fill your day with hours of entertainment. I've actually gotten so invested in audiobooks that I've been reading that when I've arrived at my destination, I've gone around the block, or I've actually stopped a couple blocks short of it and just sat there parked for a little bit, or I've even just sat in the car in the parking lot for a few more minutes because I can't stop right where I'm at. The audiobook is too good at that moment. That's when you know you are sucked into a story, and those are the kind of great books I'm going to recommend for you today. Now, not every audiobook is ideal for driving. Some may require too much of your attention. You do have to still pay attention to the road when you're driving, and if it's getting you too focused, well, that could be a problem. I drive a Subaru Forester, which works really hard to keep me out of accidents. I mean, I have to really try hard to smash into something with this, which I will not do. But even so, it does require some of my attention. And then other books are just too dense to follow when your attention will sometimes be divided because of traffic, because of figuring out where you're going, decisions you have to make. So you'll miss things. And then the story is not as entertaining as it should be. It's hard to have to back up in an audiobook while you're driving your vehicle. I don't want to have to do that. For me, for example, Malazan is not something that would work as an audiobook, at least not the first 10 books. I am listening to a Malazan book right now, Dancer's Lament, but because I've got so much of the heavy stuff in the background for me, this is like easy listening now, and it's working perfectly well. But still, Malazan, not one of my recommendations. But I've got some great ones for you now that I do believe for most of you will just help that commute slip right on by. But fantasy is subjective, so I'm going to give you a range of books. I liked all of these. Okay, that's not even true. There's one I'm going to recommend that I didn't enjoy. That's how unique and different all these books are, but I think there's something for pretty much everybody in this list. First up, the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy by Tad Williams. This is an epic fantasy trilogy that really feels like 4 books with rich world building, compelling characters, and low-key, mysterious magic systems. First book gets you interested, does a lot of world building, but by the end, you're like, I want to know where this is going. The second book, oh, it reels you in. You are hooked considerably by the end of the second book, and you must start book 3 immediately. Now, the third book is Huge. It's really the size of two fantasy books. But that's okay because it's so good you won't want it to end. It goes on, and you're like, yes, please continue, which can be great for a long drive. And when you finish this trilogy, the good news is there's a sequel series in the same world waiting for you to explore. My second one, The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. A massive 14-book epic fantasy series with a prequel, so there's really 15 books to enjoy. The Wheel of Time puts the epic into epic fantasy, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. If you fall in love with Robert Jordan's style of world building, his iconic characters, and his multi layered, complex plot, you'll have hours and hours of listening to lose yourself into. And what's great about The Wheel of Time is for people who really get sucked into it, listening to it again is even better. I have done that. My third one, what if you're someone that you want grit? These epic fantasy things I've already mentioned were too fluffy for you. Well, The First Law by Joe Abercrombie may be the series you're looking for. It starts off with an opening trilogy, then has three standalone novels in the same world that are actually all interconnected, but each one is its own separate story. And then there's a final concluding trilogy. So 9 books to enjoy, plus a short story collection that I haven't done yet. But man, this is grimdark, harsh, shocking, truly dark events that happen. And yet there's also humor baked into it. Some of it's sarcastic, cynical, dark humor, but it's there, along with enlightening commentary on the human condition. So this is not light, fluffy fantasy. This is deep stuff and truly harsh. Some of you, it's going to be too much for you. I'm just going to tell you. But if you like grimdark, this is where it's at, baby. So engaging and easy to consume for hours and hours and hours, which is what it takes in some of those road trips. Now let's step a little bit to fantasy adjacent, and here's a series that I've just so enjoyed, and I've done it all on audiobook, the Zombie Fallout series by Mark Tufo. Now, zombie apocalypse literature that is not to be taken seriously. This is a very comical take. I mean, there are serious moments in the Zombie Fallout series, but there's also a lot of snarky humor baked in. Yes, even juvenile humor, some of you will say. But if you get into it, you've got good times coming for hours and hours ahead. As we follow protagonist Michael Talbot, along with his family and friends, navigating a zombie apocalypse that does not just throw zombies at you, but all sorts of mayhem and chaos. With well over 20 books out there, there's so much to consume, and he's still writing these books. So that's one to give a try. And if you like the first book, you are set and just load them up. If you don't like the first book, it's not going to get better. Now, if you need something a little more serious in the zombie apocalypse genre, I get just one more to toss at you, and that would be The Remaining by DJ Molay. A plague ravages our planet, turning 90% of humanity into rabid, prehistoric-like creatures who are super strong but not real sharp. And they're out for blood. This is the story of a soldier who followed orders, got down in a bunker when something went south, stayed in the bunker for a long time, waiting for the signal to come out, which never came. So he finally comes out and finds what happened to the world, and now goes on a mission to try to save humanity and build back civilization while overcoming the dangers that surround us all. And those infected people, they're only some of the dangers, and perhaps not the worst of them. This is great military, sci-fi, fantastical blend with some of the greatest tension and action scenes you're going to find out there. You won't have any trouble fixating on these 8 books, plus the sequel series and other related novels in the remaining universe, if this sort of thing is your thing. All right, back to straight fantasy, I can recommend the Night Angel trilogy, one of the shorter things I'm going to suggest here, because it's just 3 books by Brent Weeks. There is a sequel series that started, but I can't recommend that yet because I wasn't totally sold on the book. But you don't need that sequel series to enjoy this trilogy. These are three average size fantasy novels, each book under 20 hours, more like about 17 hours in length on audio if you go at 1.0 speed, which is how I do it. They're fast paced, dark fantasy novels. Not so dark as grimdark, like First Law, but there are some dark things. I mean, they involve wet boys, assassins, professional assassins. Of note, though, instead of the original audiobooks, you might grab the fully dramatized adaptations that pretty much double the listening time for each book through the use of a full cast, a vast array of sound effects, truly immersing you in the story. Perfect for a long drive. All right, now my recommendation that I wouldn't really enjoy, but I did listen to the first audiobook, so I know some of you are going to want this one, and that's A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Romantasy, man, it's just not my thing, but I have come to understand some of you really dig romance in your fantasy. So, this is for you. This series has plenty to captivate such readers with hours and hours of quality road time. But the last one I'm going to recommend is the one I'm doing right now, and I'm having so much fun with it. Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. This is the series that is my introduction to the lit RPG subgenre of fantasy. It's hilarious and massively addictive. Now, if you don't know what lit RPG is, as it plays out in this series, we're talking about basically a D&D role-playing game that is the construct by which a story is being told. So here it's actually a game that's going on that is becoming the story. Not some nerds, and I say that affectionately, sitting around a table role-playing D&D. No, it's not that. It's a guy who survives the end of the world only to be plunked into this dungeon crawling experience that is real with rules and magic and all the stuff you expect in classic Dungeons and Dragons. Ask anyone who's listened to these books, and they won't be able to stop talking about how incredible they are. Especially, again, these are, like I mentioned with the Night Angel trilogy, fully immersive, full cast, tons of sound effects. Incredible. Oh, and there's aliens involved. Did I mention that? So fun. All right, so those are my recommendations for you. There are others you might pick. If you're going to consider any of these or try some others that might be more your thing for a road trip, I've got some tips for you to consider. First of all, check the length. Make sure you have enough to cover the drive you're about to do. You do not want your road trip to get halfway done and you're out of stuff to listen to. So definitely load up enough content so you don't run out of material mid-trip. Think about your preferred genre within fantasy and choose a story that aligns with your tastes. If you want to take a risk and try something new, a road trip is not necessarily the best time to do it. But I'm not going to stop you. I'm just going to make a suggestion. Have a backup ready in your library to listen to if the first one isn't cutting it. And just load up the tried and true, the sure and ready, I don't know, the Wheel of Time re-listen that you really wanted to do. And then here's a hot tip. Read or listen to reviews about these audiobooks before you get into them. And maybe even listen to a sample chapter or chapters to ensure the narrator's voice and the tone are engaging. There's a lot of variety in audiobook narration, and what works for some people is not going to work for others. You need it to work for you, so check it out and see if, yep, I could listen to that for 5 hours, 6 hours, 12, or more, depending on how far you're driving. All right, that's what I have for you today. Do you have any other suggestions you might make that are great books for epically long drives? Put them down in the comment box. Also, anything you want to say about the things I put forward here today, I'd love to see those comments too. And look in the show notes for other ways that you can interact with my son Zach and I. We've got a link to our Discord server there. Our social media links are there. Our email is there, and a link to our Patreon page. We have patrons who support us every month, helping us keep this content coming out, and they get some small benefits for that, mostly just a warmth in their hearts. If you'd like to check out that, go to our Patreon page. All right, that's where I'll leave you. Enjoy your audiobooks. and thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.